Yeah. Hey there, everybody. What's up? It is the CBC Wisdom Hour number 129 for March 9th, 2021. I'm Steve Witchell in New Orleans.
Tony B coming to you live from New Jersey. What's happening?
I forgot to put our names up, is what's happening.
That's not cool, Steve.
No, I thought I was prepared. There we go.
Together.
Just so people can see our names. Yeah. How's everybody doing? Good.
Doing great, Steve. How about you?
That's great. I feel like my mic is not close enough. I feel like I'm not loud enough. Johnny Interval says, hey, all. And Johnny Interval knows the deal, which is what I was just going to say. If you're watching live here, we are broadcasting using a thing called StreamYard, but you're probably watching on Facebook. And that is if you're watching live. And if you want to make a comment, let StreamYard show your name. You got to click on that little thing. And that's all it does is let StreamYard show your name so we can see who you are and put you up on the screen and make fun of you. Just kidding. We're not. You're going to make fun of us, probably. That's usually the way things go.
We might make fun of people. It depends.
Nah, no, we're nice. Well,
no,
yeah.
We can nicely make fun of people, you know.
You can. And you know what? That's a thing that I can jump right into, too, about making fun of people. Because we were off last week due to taking a week off.
Yeah, vacation.
That's what we did. And we, you know what? I was thinking we should have seasons. We don't have we just have episode numbers in a row. We should have like season 1 of Wisdom Hour, and then take a few weeks off, come back with season 2. So we could start fresh and be like, this is season 1.
Yeah, it's really like season 5, but
right. So maybe this is actually season 1 of the
season 1 of the new regime of the new
the video
podcast.
Yes, and if you're listening on the audio podcast, if you download it on iTunes, you can watch this video on the Cover Band Central Facebook page, or in the Cover Band Central Facebook group, or on YouTube on the Cover Band Central channel. Or you could just watch it live with us too, every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. Derek said it looks good and sounds good from here. So
excellent. Thanks, Derek. That's good. It's encouraging.
Good feedback. Derek is an active member of the Cover Band Central group. And that's what I was going to say about making fun of people. Occasionally in the Cover Band Central group, see, you're not a social media guy, Tony, but
not yet, but I will be.
But you know kind of the deal, the way it works. And I think this is probably correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is one of the reasons you've stayed off of Facebook, is that people behind a computer, when they're talking to other people that they don't know, a lot of times don't have a filter, and they will say mean, nasty things that people wouldn't normally say to a person in person. Was that one of your reasons for keeping away from it, or just
no? My reasons for keeping away initially was just that I don't have enough time in the day to manage the things I do now. So having something like a Facebook account or something that you have to log into and update and stay like connected with was just not something I was going to be able to keep up with.
Right.
And, over the whole duration of COVID, when, like you said, you just see the amount of negativity and all of the bickering and, like you said, just arguing. It almost seems like it's people that have nothing to do and are just home and want to hang out on Facebook and just start, arguments with people. Like I told you, I have a good friend of mine who basically, like maybe June last year, closed his account and said, "I'll see you guys in 2021, like after the election. I'm not interested in being part of the circus, And it's just, and now that I'm going to start, building the studio and launching, a channel and things like that, I'm going to have to get engaged with social media, and I'm going to have to go across all platforms. So, but again, I'm not using it for, I'm going to use it for strictly the purpose of promoting and sharing music and videos and things that we're working on here. I'm not going to engage in, like having conversations with people about their political beliefs, or, just comment on things.
Sure.
It's just nonsense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just, I originally just didn't get involved with Facebook because I didn't have the time, but now it almost seems like it's just like, it may be a vehicle to reach people with a product or, a creative idea that you have or you want to share with, with the world. But it seems to have become just a platform for, like you said, just people who have nothing to do but want to be negative and bully and be mean. And like you said, people are real bold and brazen to say things when they're behind a computer.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's kind of amusing to watch in a way where people, engage it. Like as soon as someone says something and someone reacts to it, and then it's not what that person wants to agree to, or is not aligned with what their opinion is, they jump on the bandwagon, then other people jump on the bandwagon. And it just becomes this whole, like, just quite honestly, Steve, I just don't have time in the day to waste time on negative people that don't have any impact or are going to have any positive influence on my life,
Right. Well, I mean, you get what you want out of it, however you choose to use it, and you can choose to scroll by things like that. You can choose to not engage, but there
Sure.
are people that are addicted to drama and love getting engaged in things like that. And there's a new thing that keeps. Oh boy, that is
Jeez,
no
sorry
good.
about that.
Yeah, don't do that anymore.
I'll try not to.
Whatever you just did.
Pete, don't touch that wire again. Sorry, my assistant was messing with stuff.
It's all right. But there's a new term that came into the lexicon, I guess maybe over the last year or two, called hate scroll. People like to hate scroll. They just will find things to like, I don't like this, and I want to let you know it.
Right. And if you don't have anything more important to do in your life than that, you need to reevaluate what you're doing.
Yeah.
So,
So,
my opinion,
Yeah, and like Daniel said, you don't feed the trolls, people.
Right.
And you know who they are, and so I get a lot of it in the Cover Band Central group, especially musicians. A lot of musicians just don't have a filter, and they have potty mouths. And the thing that bothers me the most in there is the name calling. When people start calling each other bad names, like, obviously meant to hurt them or to be derogatory. That to me is just childish. It's just so third grade. It's like, come on. I mean, what do you feel good about yourself when you go back and read what you wrote yesterday when you said something like that to a person? I know I wouldn't.
But it's amazing how many people there are like that out there in the world, Steve.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, again, I have to deal with it every day.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I mean, it came to a head like a week or so ago, where I had it, I was like, because I get notifications when people report comments or report posts. And then I was getting messages from people complaining about this and that, and complaining that I'm not doing a good enough job. And I'm like, first of all, I'm amazed that people do that at all for a free group on a free
you're not doing a great job, Steve.
Page.
What are they doing in their life?
And I'm not getting paid for this. So it amazes me, but it happens quite often, like where people will send me messages and like, and try to tell me why I'm doing a bad job and what I should be doing instead, and blah blah blah. So it kind of came to a head, and I was like, that's it. And I shut off posting permission. So the only people that could post were me and the moderators. And I didn't do it for a long time, maybe 5 or 6 hours. I left it off. But then I went in made a couple videos and said, hey, all right, everybody calm down, and I might need some more help with this. So maybe somebody else wants to moderate. So I did get another moderator on that night. And cool. then I made a video instructing people how to report posts, because people will like send me messages that don't understand how to report a post. Like, just because we get the notifications all the time throughout the day. So-and-so reported a post, so-and-so, and even Facebook will remove posts, and I get those notifications too. Like, Facebook removes something that violated our community standards, and then I can go look and see what it is, and then I can take an action on that too. I can kick those people out or mute them or whatever. But the point is that with that many people too, I have over 57,000 people in the group. It's just a constant thing. So that was an issue for me last week, and it really kind of bummed me out for a little bit, which again, it happens once in a while where I just feel like,
yeah, it's nothing new. I know we've been down that road before where you've had, have to handle situations like that with,
right.
And we've talked about it in the past, but it seems like since COVID, since people have been home, it's escalated even more. Like, it's just amazing to me how negative people are, and then they
Probably.
wonder why they're in the situations that they're in and why their
Exactly.
lives are the way they are, but they don't realize that they have the power to change it at any moment in time if they choose to do so. But like
That
you
is
said,
correct.
people get addicted to the drama, they get sucked into it, and it becomes a habit, and then it becomes something that they can't get out of,
Right.
and
Yeah.
they're missing out on a lot of good things in life by having a perspective of negativity and always looking to knock someone down and always looking to bash someone down. I mean, imagine, I've seen it over the course of my career. I'm sure you have too, where, you'll go and see a band and the band will be, great, and people are enjoying it and people are commenting and other musicians are coming up and saying, man, you guys sound great. And there's always guys in the crowd or musicians who are always want to have a negative comment on it. Oh, that
Hmm.
wasn't so good. That guy's guitar tone wasn't the best. That guy missed that bass note. The drummer's really not that solid. The tempo moved a little, like they'll try to pick apart all the negative things about it.
Right.
And when they have that type of perspective, it's going to carry over to everything in your life, right? So if you're constantly looking to nitpick all the little negative things and find the fault, to and try to tear people down, that's the results you're going to get, as opposed to, supporting other musicians and maybe learning something, and there's
Right.
always to be learned if you look for it. There's always something that you can bash if you look for it too. But, I think when your perspective is one of being grateful for things and you're thankful and you're in tune with being positive and you're trying to help people and you're encouraging and you're lifting other people up, it comes back around 100-fold to yourself personally. But it just seems like, you know, the tide needs to shift where people are more generous with their compliments and supporting each other than constantly trying to knock everything down. I mean, you see it all the time on YouTube where someone will write some nasty comments like, oh, this is terrible. You should do this or you should do that. And then usually you see the first response is like, well, where's your channel? Where's your videos? What are you doing?
Right.
You're just sitting there commenting and picking apart people's things with this negative thing. And that's your day. Like, that's what you do. I mean, that's a
Right.
sad existence,
Right. Agreed. Liz Angels from South Africa. She's with Standing Ovations Entertainment. If you're in South Africa, look them up. Rachel Lewis said so true. Yeah, I mean, I think that the positivity always outweighs the negativity, no matter what situation you're in. But it's a thing, it's just a thing, and the bigger your audience, the more of that thing you're going to see.
Yeah, I mean, it comes into territory, I guess. And if you really don't listen, you can only be offended by something that someone says to you if you allow yourself to be offended.
Mm-hmm. If you're knowing your triggers too, and that's something I'm working on currently, is just kind of recognizing my triggers, what triggers me and why, and what different choice can I make to have a more positive outcome. That's something I'm working on. I'm actually in a thing with it, in a group with it, doing a little challenge for 45 days.
Listen, that's great. I mean, listen, you got to challenge ourselves. If we don't grow, if we're not growing, we're shrinking, right? And if we're not getting better, we're staying the same or getting worse.
Yeah.
So, you want to try to be the best version of yourself that you can be every day. And that's different for everybody, right? But it all stems back to the same common principle of, being aware of what you want to do and where you want to go. And if you have a plan and you're in tune with things and you put them into practice, and over time they become habits, you can change the way you think and you can look at things differently. It's very hard to change your perspective, initially, right? But like you said, if you're in a group or you have a coach or you have someone that's there to support you, or you have a team of people to encourage you, or you read encouraging things. I mean, that's the thing too, think about it like this. If you wake up with just enough time to take a quick shower, brush your teeth, take something to go, hop in your car, race to work, get out of the car, get into work, and you're just there by the wire, and you've been that way. Your whole day is like that, and then that turns into a pattern where your whole week is like that. Then your whole month is like that, and then eventually your year is like that, and your life becomes that.
Right.
Whereas if you can start your day in a more relaxed fashion, wake up earlier, give yourself some time. That's always the curse, is like the snooze alarm. You set your alarm to get up an hour earlier than you normally would, but the sleep is more important than getting up and spending quality time working on yourself. That's really what it comes down to. If you want to make a commitment to be better, you got to commit to it, and you got to put action to it.
True. I love the snooze alarm. I don't have to set my alarm very often. I wake up when I want to, but I do love the snooze alarm. But Fred just said some just aren't happy unless they're pissed off. They need to hate to exist. But I would argue that those people aren't really happy. That's just what they do.
I think a better word would be satisfied. They have a temporary gratification, almost like an addiction.
It's an addiction. It certainly is.
Yeah, they're forsaking all the benefits of the good things they could have in life because they can't resist grabbing onto that detrimental thing for the moment that gives them that little, bit of pleasure that they were able to dig in and they're pissed off and they want to hurt somebody. But then
it's not. I don't think it's always they want to hurt somebody. I think it's that people just want to be right. They think they're right, and they want to prove that they're right, and they want other people to say that they're right. And for some reason, people think that being right or somebody validating you that you're right it makes you a better person or will complete something about you. It'll satisfy you, and it doesn't. It's not important. It's not. It really truly is not important to be right. It's important to learn. It's important to grow. Sometimes you want to feel like you're right, but it's not important. It's really not as important as people make it out to be, and it's all fear-based behavior, man. It's all ego shit. It's like, and that's the thing that I see most often is like, no, I'm right. No, I'm right. No, I'm right. And then when people run out of sort of logic to back up whatever it is they're trying to prove, that's when the anger comes out, and that's when the name calling comes out, and that's when the insulting comes out, because they can't handle it. They can't handle all this stress.
Well, that's what I mean by hurting people, right? Because you and I could have a conversation, and I could get my point across to you, in a multitude of ways, right? If you said, hey, I have this new thing and I think this is the greatest album I've ever heard. And I could say, well, Steve, I tend to disagree with you, and we could talk about why. If I say to you, well, Steve, I think you're a friggin' idiot. You don't know anything about music. And of course you think that album is good because you don't even know what you're talking about. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I could still have a conversation with you and say, I don't think it's as good as you think it is, without insulting you and diminishing your intelligence, right?
Sure.
That's where the hurtfulness comes in, because people get boxed into a corner, like you said. Instead of just saying, hey, you know what, I was mistaken, I was right. It's always the hardest thing for people to apologize when they're wrong, and it takes a big person to apologize. My mom, when I was little, and you can still carry that through to today, where it's hard to do the right thing, right? It's harder to do the right thing than it is to just do, the wrong thing or the easier thing. Doing the right thing and challenging yourself is hard. It takes commitment. It's something that you got to work at. And a lot of people just aren't willing to put in the work to do it. And like you said, as soon as it starts to escalate to where they're not getting their point across, or they've been proven that what they're saying may be invalid, then they just start with the tirade,
Yeah. And Daniel makes a point here. No one has ever changed anyone's mind about an opinion on Facebook, and that's true. And we saw it all through the political season of the race, and people trying to say my guy is better, and nobody has changed their mind. But Scott says the main point is for all of us to motivate each other. Thanks for the boost in mindset, and that is really what we're about. That's what we do. That's why we kind of call this the wisdom hour. Tony, you've hit on a lot of wisdom already in this first 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Wisdom whistle.
Big wisdom there. But yeah, because it's interesting, because it's funny that it's also such good timing, because like in the past, I've always sent out a thought for the day. Been doing it for
long time, dude.
A long time, over 15 years now.
Yeah, I was going to say at least over 10.
Yeah, it's closer to 15.
Explain to the audience what this is, because we've talked about it before. So back in like 2005, 2006,
I decided to embrace a real positive mindset and to try to encourage others and to really be focused on helping people. So I was working construction and I was on the job every day. So I printed out these little quotes, little positive things, and I made like 10 of them. And I printed them out on little tiny, like almost fortune cookie type pieces of paper. And I printed it and I cut them all up and I have them in my pocket. And over the course of the day, when people were melting down or, I would say, hey, I got something for you. And I'd walk up and I would hand it to them. And even if it was a township inspector or someone that wasn't on the job, if they were in there, I always had a pocket full of these thoughts, right? So I would hand out the thoughts.
Not like little Tony fortune cookies.
Correct. They were like little Tony thoughts for the day, but they were just quotes that I had gathered for different things that were, a positive motivational thing to lift people's spirit. Then, a little ways into the job, now guys are seeking me out during the day. Hey, you got that fortune cookie thing? You got that piece of paper? You got your thought of the day thing? Like, they're coming to the trailer in the morning to find me to look for it. Now, when I'm leaving the job, they're saying, hey, can I give you my email? Because I still want to get these. Like, this is really helpful to me. I really appreciate that you do this. And, I want to be part of the community. So I got about maybe, I haven't really expanded it like beyond what I've tried to grow it other than what people have solicited to me, but I probably have between 300 and 400 people on the list. And every morning for the past 15 years, I send out a positive quote to those 300 or 400 people. And then they in turn pass it along, to the people that they know. So it eventually reaches, thousands of people, which I never thought it would, And when I used to work at my previous company, we had 350 employees. And I used to send it out to the whole company. Now, I'm back with Avis and my company I was with prior. There's 5,000 people, in that company. So I send that email out, every morning to a bunch of people, and it gets forwarded. And all it really started was just a way to start your day with a positive thing to remind you that, hey, this is something important that you might want to think about, And it was simple stuff like, there's no garden if there's no gardener. Meaning that, you can't have a garden if someone doesn't tend to it. So if your mind is a garden and you don't watch, if you don't water the right things, weeds are going to start to grow in. Negativity is going to creep in. It's going to choke out all the positivity. It's going to choke out all the flowers. And you're going to have a big mess to clean up. But you can still clean it up. It still could be a garden. But in order to have a flourishing, healthy, vibrant, enjoyable, beautiful garden, you have to tend to it, right? Like anything in life. Right. So that was kind of the impetus for that. So that's the thought for the day. I send that out every day. And, I just did it as something that started to say, hey, I just want to, put a little positive, thought to people's minds first thing in the morning. Because remember, construction, you're on job site 6:30, 6:45 every day, so guys are rolling in 7 o'clock in the morning. And it's something that, you're starting the day. I try to send it out now at like 5 a.m. But this morning I was up early and I was on the computer, putting together the thought for the day. And I happened to go through my emails, and it was interesting that I found, a guy that I used to work with, and he had emailed me yesterday at 5 o'clock in the morning. And he said that, and this has happened a bunch of times in the 15 years, which I give it a lot of credit to. And it's not credit to me. It's just credit to the power of people where they've emailed me and said, hey, this particular quote today really spoke to me and I got back into exercising today. And then a year later, someone will email me and say, hey, man, I don't know if you remember when I emailed you a year ago, this particular quote, and they'll forward the quote and say, but it's been a year since I started exercising and I stuck with it and I lost 20 pounds and I'm in the best shape of my life. Or, I had a guy who was, I was talking about getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And he would say, why would you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning? I would say, well, because I don't have to leave until 6 in the morning. So I have 3 hours to do stuff that I want to do. I can wake up relaxed. I can eat breakfast. I can exercise. I can meditate. I can do my thought for the day. And I've got a bunch of stuff accomplished before I walk out the door. And he said, wow, that's a pretty interesting thing. And this particular gentleman that I work with, he wanted to get this superintendent's license for New York City. And it was a really, really intensive course of study that he had to do. And he said, I've been putting it off. I just don't have the time to do it. So this guy made a commitment. He said, and I didn't know about it until he was like 2 or 3 months into it. And he said, hey, listen, I signed up for this 10-month online program to get my New York City superintendent license. And it's an hour and a half class every day. And I do it from 3 to 4:30 every morning before work. Right. And I'm 2.5 months into it. And I know I got, 7 more months to go, 7.5 months to go, but then I'll be certified. And don't you know that he stayed the course. And at the end of that 7, 8 months, he had his certification. And, he's kept, and he said, now that I've got it, I'm going to continue to wake up early and I'm going to continue to, to do what we do. But If you're not a morning person, you can certainly do it at night. The premise is just,
Sure.
allocate some time for yourself every day to spiritually, mentally, connect with what's important, in your life and the things that you want to do, and focus your thoughts on accomplishing those things, and start to think about, the things you want to do, and make small little steps and small little improvements to, over time, accomplish that. And, it doesn't happen overnight, but at the same time, if you commit to it, there's a certain empowerment once you're, a few weeks in, that you're on the right course, and you're developing, the things that you want to develop. And it's just really about, trying to keep front and center in your perspective what's really important in life,
Sure.
like,
All right.
you see
I got to
what's
bring
going
you
on in
back.
the world. To argue about, your political opinion because I don't agree with yours, or you don't agree with mine, and to spend hours, and say hurtful things to each other. So I guess the summary is it more important for me to get my point across and hurt you and be right? Or is it more important to not hurt you and just be okay with the fact that maybe I'm not right, or that we just don't agree on the thing? That's really what it comes down to.
Right.
It's the ego, like you said.
Yeah. And like Liz Angel said, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was trying to bring it back to the thought for the day, because that's what I started this conversation.
Oh yeah. Sorry. So thought for the day. Yeah.
But you started it, you said about 15 years ago. So that was pre-Facebook, and you're sending them out emails, and I get them, every weekday. But since the advent of Facebook and things like that, and there's been super advancements in the way we internet nowadays.
Could be
So I mean, you could be doing what you're doing. You could still be doing what you're doing and be reaching a much bigger audience if you utilize
right
Facebook the right way, or Twitter, or any of those things, or Instagram, and still call it thought for the day, and still get that same audience, and actually have a bigger audience. And then you can use graphics a little bit more. I mean, there's a ton of things out there like that, a ton of groups out there, and pages on Facebook that I follow, because I like to have my newsfeed, which a lot of people don't take the time to kind of customize how their newsfeed is going to be. I mean, there's only so much you can do, but I prefer to have mostly positive, good news type of things on my newsfeed. So anybody, that's on my friends list, and I have, like 2,500 people on my friends list, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really know all those people. But anybody that's ever posted anything political, I don't follow them. Anything. I don't care if I agree with you or not. I just don't want to read it. I'm just not interested.
Right.
And anybody that posts anything negative, it just either I unfollow or unfriend. I don't want any of this. So I'm constantly sort of vetting my news feed with things that I want to see. And I have, like I said, I'm part of a lot of groups and pages that put out positive, life affirming things, or I have a lot of music related groups and pages that I'm a part of. So I see a lot of music stuff, which is what I want. And Daly Thomas said, I have way too many friends. Daly is somebody I know. He lives in South Carolina. He's a drummer. And he's a good friend. He's somebody I played with a few times now, a couple times at least. Met Daly back in 2004 in Minnesota.
Nice.
And Rachel asked if she can be my friend, and I say yes. Send me a friend request. There's my name. If Rachel, you already seem like a cool person, so yeah.
The other thing too, Steve, is sometimes you don't know what other people are going through. Like, you may interact with someone over the course of the day who is just, got a bad attitude, foul, and is being nasty and negative and condescending or mean towards you. And you can, like you said, it's very easy to get engaged and start to defend your ego, but it's a lot more humane and a lot more difficult to say, let me sit back for a second and think from a perspective of, why is this person acting the way they're acting towards me? I don't know what they have going on in their life. They may have a lot of things going on, right. And they're just, they're in a bad place, and they just don't know how to to deal with it right now. And they seems like they have no way out, or they don't.
Yeah, but most people don't take that time to take things like that into consideration. That's the proper advice, but most people don't do that. Most people are just have their own agenda, and they want to say what they want to say, and there's nothing stopping them, and that's it. That's what happens. That's the reality of it.
But again, like you said, it's ego. It's almost like,
oh yeah, it's fear based. All fear based.
If someone comes to you know, you're not a good bass player, you're not a good drummer. My friend's a way better drummer than you are. Excellent, cool, man.
Right.
But
I mean, I wouldn't even answer. I wouldn't even entertain that. If somebody said that to me, I'd be like, I wouldn't get engaged at all. And that's the key, is just don't get engaged. They can't keep talking to you if you're not talking back to them.
Understood. But remember too, Steve, if they're looking to engage you in a adversarial way, and they're trying to get a rise out of you, right? And they say like, oh, my friend's a way better drummer than you are. And you say, excellent, man. Like, I'd like to meet him sometime. What more could he possibly say? Unless he wants to continue saying, well,
that's right. You're going to meet him.
yeah, right, exactly. Or, he's still way better than you, and you suck, and whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's like, hey, man, it's cool, whatever. Like,
you're going to meet him, and you're going to see how much better he is than you.
Right.
And you'll be like, yeah, that's great. I can't wait. That's right. You can't wait.
But it's not even like that. It's just saying like there's always somebody better, So
sure.
If you're comfortable in your own skin and you're okay with it,
I love it.
Know where your level of talent is. You're not really, it doesn't feed on the insecurity. That's when people get defensive, is when they're insecure about stuff, right? If you're,
sure.
People that are confident in their abilities and that are stable in life are usually not one to engage in bickering and arguing and having, a discussion that's not productive, Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about insecurity. It's all fear-based. It's all blah, blah, blah. But, the most talented people that I know, that I've worked with and know personally, are the people that are also the most humble. So, take that.
Yeah, I've met both. I've met super humble, super talented people, and I've met some super talented people that were also pretty full of themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I have too. But for the most part, the people that I know that I've worked with, that I believe are really talented, are also very humble. They're the people that are going to appreciate seeing somebody else that's talented rather than feel threatened by them.
Right.
And I I mean, I'll readily admit that working on Bourbon Street, I was not the best bass player, for sure. I mean, there's definitely other players on that street alone that smoked me. And but I love going to watch them play, because oh man, because I love music and I love bass and I love just seeing somebody being good at anything. And that goes for anything for me in life. I just like seeing people excel.
Yeah.
In sport, in music, in writing, in making videos, in anything. I champion things like that. And that's why I think for me, Cover Band Central is a good fit for me to run, because I really am such a huge fan of music, and I really do want to see people do well. That's why I do. I feature a video of the week every week. I pick an artist and I feature their video, do a write up on them. I'm really trying to champion good.
This is a great selfless platform that you've created to help people, to continue in their endeavor. You know what I mean?
Yes, Liz is happy that she found it.
Excellent. That's what I mean. That's kept secret. No, it's it's one of these things, Steve, where throughout your life and throughout you developing this whole Cover Band Central, empire, and us doing the
empire.
It's just, but it takes a lot of work, a lot of commitment. You're dedicated to it, and it's not like you're, prospering excessively in a greedy way from it. You are helping.
Except for this killer studio behind me. I mean,
yes, except for the killer studio behind you, but well deserved and earned, of course. But that's what it is. That's what it's all about. It's just about helping people, and that's why you continue to grow, because you're open to it. And it's not that anyone's better than anybody else. It's that they're different. I think better is like a grammar school band comment. Like Johnny's better than Pete because he just,
my dad's better than your dad.
Yeah, or he's more naturally talented, so he's more proficient, right? It's not that he's better; he's more proficient at that particular task of the instrument. But then once you've learned all of your credentials, so to speak, and now you're free to create because you have the tools, the chops, the experience, that's when everyone's uniqueness comes out. So it doesn't become a competition of, I'm better than you or you're better than me. We both play the same instrument and we're different. right?
Right.
You're going to play
Yeah.
and I play. And
Yeah. And
that's
that's
what makes it so great about music, because anyone that picks up that, their instrument, no one in the world can play it like you play it. They can emulate it, but if you just said, "Hey, Steve, I'm going to put 10 bass players in a room and I'm going to just go down the line and say, play me a riff right now, just play me 8 bars of anything that you feel like playing." Those 10 guys are going to all play something different, and they're all going to be not better or worse than each other, but they're going to be uniquely different and have a character and a personality of the person that's playing the instrument. That's
sure.
what they
Even if it's the same piece of music, you
right.
can have 8 people playing. Christine said she's going to watch this later, if that's okay, and of course that's okay. It's 1:39 there, wherever you are. I guess that's the morning.
Wow.
She might
Okay.
be. But thanks for watching, Christine.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, it's all, it's all subjective anyway. And people, but it's the reality of what goes on the internet. It's something that I have to deal with all the time.
Yep.
But, the good far outweighs the bad for me as far as running this whole thing. But Liz thinks that COVID has humbled us all, musicians, magicians, and live bands, all international as well.
Yeah.
So she stuck musicians and magicians and then live bands. She stuck magicians like a magic trick in between the two
Hey,
musical things.
music is magic.
It is. Liz, where are you? She said her gigs and pubs dropped massively. I don't know if she said where she is. Oh, was she South Africa? I don't remember.
I think so. Is
Africa.
it
Yeah,
standing ovation?
Yeah, she's South Africa.
Yeah, standing ovation.
Yeah. Yes, Bailey, that's what she said. She said magicians, because magicians can't work during COVID either. Because you got to get a rabbit that's vaccinated.
COVID test.
Yeah, you can't be doing that. But so what I want to do, and I may have talked about this with you before.
What do you want to do, Steve?
I may have mentioned it here, but it's worth mentioning again if nobody's seen it. But I want to turn this into more fun, this kind of stuff that's going on in the group. And I'll talk about some of the topics that come up all the time. But I'm a big fan of this guy. His name's Ryan George. If anybody is on YouTube, or he's a YouTuber that's been doing sort of comedy things for 3 or 4 years now. And he's brilliant. He's hilarious. He does sketches where he does this thing called pitch meetings for movies, and he plays these 2 different characters. One is a studio executive and one is a screenwriter, and he plays both characters and he films both. He writes a script and he films both. And the premise is that the screenwriter is coming in with an idea for this movie, and the executive is listening to the idea, but he picks movies that have already been made that we're familiar with. And it's hilarious because he picks out the plot holes in the movies, or the things that are really kind of silly about the movie.
I've seen that guy.
And he's come up with these catchphrases and stuff, and he's hilarious. So it's kind of inspired me to want to do something like that, because I like making videos too. So I'm going to try and do something like that where I'm playing a couple different characters, but I'm going to take the premises that come up in the Cover Band Central group all the time and make a sketch out of it.
This is going to be good.
So the ones that come up all the time, one recent one was about cargo shorts, and that cargo shorts comes up all the time. And that, again, I may have said this before here, but that's something that I never, ever would have imagined, anticipated would be a thing. When I started CBC or any of that. And do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
When I say cargo, you don't.
Okay. Remember that show, The White Shadow? I think it was Carver.
Yes. Yeah.
Wore the shorts.
Mm.
Is that what you're?
Well, that was the 70s, like gym shorts that you got, like when you went to school. You had those tight 70s. They were like they had like a border of white around them, and they were like red.
And the side had like where it came up the side of your leg. It came to like a crest, like a point, and then went back down again, like a scallop.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, no, it's not about that. But the thing with cargo shorts is,
we know all about those. That's not what it's about.
Cargo shorts conversation comes up because certain times musicians will wear cargo shorts on stage.
Oh, cargo. I think you're saying carver.
Cargo. Oh, am I talking
Cargo
to
shorts. Oh, yeah. I know
cargo?
all about that. That it is not proper band attire, and this has been a conversation for eons.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
That's well, that's what some people say and some people think. I mean, I definitely have worn cargo shorts on stage. Absolutely have done it. But I wouldn't say I've done it. No, I was going to say I wouldn't say I've done it on Bourbon Street, but I absolutely have. Not a lot, but I've done it, and I've definitely done it playing outdoor gigs. In the summer, you're outside. Everybody else is wearing shorts or
Again,
bathing
that's a
suits.
different story, right? Because I've played outdoor gigs too, where it's like business casual, and you have to wear jeans, and then you're dressed up like like you're playing a society gig, so you're dressed up in a business casual type of atmosphere, and then like you said, you get there and everyone's in shorts, and you're dying.
Right.
See,
Right.
a drummer.
But if you're the entertainer, if the business, if it's a professional like company thing, you don't want to show up in cargo shorts for sure.
No, and like
Even if they're wearing.
a drummer can get away with cargo shorts a lot easier than anybody else can.
Yeah. A drummer can do whatever. They're gonna be naked. They're gonna be like Tommy Lee and wear a thong if they want. And Daly said Flea wore cargo shorts when he wore clothes at all.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I've worn cargo shorts in outdoor gigs. When I did, I was playing every Sunday for a while. It was like 2006-ish. I was playing Long Beach Island outside in July and August, and right poolside. Everybody's in bathing suits. Everybody's in shorts. And for that gig, it was fine to wear cargo shorts.
Again,
but
like it fits the gig, I mean, by all means. But like you said, for like Bourbon Street, I don't think you should be showing up in cargo shorts.
Right. I have done it, and whatever. So sue me. But where it becomes an issue is in videos. When bands show their videos that have been recorded, and you see somebody on stage in cargo shorts, you're not taking into account what the crowd is. You're not taking into account what the temperature is. You're as a viewer, you're looking at the stage, and it's not. It doesn't matter.
Right, because you see a guy in cargo shorts and it looks sloppy.
Yeah. So in that regard, I would agree with people who say you can't wear cargo shorts on stage. It doesn't look good. Unless that's your thing, unless it's your whole vibe is like you're a summer beachy band and everybody's in cargo shorts and sunglasses, whatever. And then you'll pick up on that from watching the video. But if it's like the singers, if you have a female singer wearing a skirt and then you have a guitar player wearing jeans and then you're the bass player and you're wearing cargo shorts, that's going to look terrible.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing I want to do a sketch.
What if you wore a kilt? Has they ever seen anybody wear a kilt on stage?
I've seen kilts on stage, but I wouldn't recommend it.
All right.
It gets a little breezy. But so that's the first sketch I want to make is the cargo shorts conversation. So I'm going to be a guy on stage with cargo shorts on, and then I'm going to also play a guy in the audience who dislikes the fact that I'm wearing cargo shorts, and a conversation and comedy will ensue. That's the plan for that.
And will you be having the conversation with this gentleman in the audience that looks like you while you're playing?
No.
Okay.
Because if I do it while I'm playing, then you won't be able to hear what I'm saying. And the whole point of this is to hear what I'm saying to the guy and hear what the guy is saying to me. I'll have a guitar in my hand and I have a cool background thing set up to make it look like I'm on stage. But the whole point of it, doing the video, the sketch, is the back and forth conversation on two different opposing viewpoints on
banter.
Cargo shorts on stage. So that's one that I'm going to do. So mark my words, today is March 9th, episode number 129 is when I've announced this, and then you'll see it eventually. Okay.
Hey, today's episode 129, right? And
today is 129. Yes.
March 9th. So if you add the 1 and the 2 together, that becomes a 3, 9.
3, 9. See? That's no accident.
Nope.
There's no such thing. So other conversations that come up in the group, I want to do these sketches on too. And the next one
What are a couple of them?
Can you guess what another one is? Since you're not in the group, wait, we could unofficially
Stop the drummer.
So it's not the actual game, but let's see if you can.
It's a stump the drummer question. Sure.
Yeah, let's see if
something
you can guess.
else in the group that people comment about besides cargo shorts.
Topics that come up over and over again where there are two different opposing viewpoints on them, and it gets into a heated conversation. And so the first one is cargo shorts. What are some other ones you can think of?
I can think of a bunch of them. I can think of people being upset about mashups. I can think of people being upset about.
Wait, slow down. Don't rattle them off. I'll tell you.
So mashups, like if you're not playing the song authentically or you're making your own version of it.
No, that is not one that comes up.
Okay. How about dead air in between songs?
That's one that comes up, but that's not one that comes up often, where there's a heated conversation. Because how are you going to defend that? Like, you just have 30 seconds dead air between songs. Like, you can't do that. And what are you going to say? Like, yes, I can. I can have dead air. That's fine. People aren't going to leave.
Well, I would think apparel would be a big one. I think, I don't know, Steve, you have me stumped. You got 50 something thousand people in there with a lot of different topics.
You've been stumped.
Interesting conversations might come up in the group that are controversial.
All right. One is about having music stands on stage. Pete, that conversation comes up all the time.
Yeah. Now that you say that is true. People, reading off of iPads and stuff, right?
No, just having the stand. I'm not even talking about the iPad part because that's a whole separate thing.
You're talking about an actual old school music stand with like paper on it?
Any music stand. Yeah, any kind of music stand with something on it. Doesn't matter if it's the old school
band,
style.
20-piece big band or, some polka band or something that has, robust amount of charts that people can't memorize and have to read everything. I would agree with that. I don't think that if you're at a cover gig, you should have a music stand on stage.
Okay.
But I've played in bands plenty of times where people have had a music stand on stage.
As have I. And I've played in a cover band where I have had a music stand on stage. I don't put it dead center right in front of me. I put it off to the side. But, I've played in wedding bands where I needed to chart songs, where we needed to learn new songs for each wedding. And I needed to chart them and I needed to have them there so I could read the music. So in cover bands, it's not necessarily a no-no, but and that gets pointed out. The orchestra thing gets pointed out all the time. It's like, well, orchestras have sheet music on music stands, and that's part of their job. So there's nothing wrong with it. It always comes up as a defense of it. But it always sort of oscillates back and forth between you should learn the songs and know the songs without having to read anything off of anything. Mm-hmm. Versus I need to have this here for this reason in particular. And there's valid arguments on both sides. Sometimes you have a music stand to just have your to have your set list on or something, or to put like other percussion instruments. I've seen people have music stands and they hang the tambourine there, and they have their shaker and they have their egg shaker things, and they put them all on a music stand. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't make or break anybody, but it sort of depends on what you're using it for.
I think it's the visual obstruction that people object to.
It's the obstruction. You've got to know where to put it, and you can't be sitting there in front of it. Like, you have to engage with the audience whenever. But then, so that's another one that I'm going to have to do a sketch on. It's the music stand again, and just have it as an dumb audience member. Like, hey, why do you have that? I don't know. I'll write it.
In your skit, you should have the music stand like set up flat and have like your drink on it, like, or a cup of coffee.
Sure.
Like flower in a vase. You know what I mean? Like, really make it really hokey.
Yeah. Crystal said, what's your stance on sunglasses on stage? And I say, sure, why not? I don't, it doesn't, Doesn't make
Hey,
or break
listen,
anything.
classes indoors are always questionable, but when you're in a band and you're on stage, I mean, I think, if you're putting on a show, right? So listen, you can go see a band that's wearing cargo shorts and tank tops in a club with music stands, and you go see a band that has no music stands. They're polished. Guys are wearing sunglasses. They're dressed differently. I think it depends on the band you're in, right? And I don't think there's any rules when you do what you do. You just,
There's no rules.
no rules. Just go up and do what you
No
want to
rules.
do. If people don't like it, they'll let you know.
Right. So another topic, like you said, is the iPads thing, and people have the issue with that. And for the same reason is that, people have iPads on stage to read lyrics a lot, or to have just put the set list up there, or to read charts. And, you got to do what you got to do for the job that you got to do. So if that requires having to read the lyrics for whatever reason, then you do it, and there's nothing wrong with it. If you're using it as a crutch or being lazy, meaning like you're reading, and I've worked with singers like this before too, where they were just too lazy to learn the song, so they have to read the lyrics, then I
Hey,
got
listen,
issues.
again, like you said, to your point, if you got 400 songs in the repertoire, you're probably not going to remember the lyrics to every single one of
Sure,
them.
right,
And if you
exactly.
have to bring it up, sure, iPad, call it up, scroll through, find your song, and you got your lyrics. Because
Right.
let's face it, even the pros have teleprompters, right? You just can't see.
Yes.
They don't have a Manhasset music stand in front of them, tilted back with stuff on it. But they have
Right.
a wedge on the floor with a full, video screen that they can read legibly with whatever they want to have on it. The audience can't see it. So that's the difference. I think it comes down to the visual perspective of people just don't like to see it because it doesn't look, it doesn't look professional.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the thing. But people make assumptions too when seeing it and saying, "Well, you're just being lazy, you're not learning the lyrics." But like I said, and then that argument comes up. That part of the argument comes up too. Is like, wait, professionals use teleprompters, and they'll show pictures of
For sure.
musicians on stage. I've seen them with Aerosmith. Aerosmith, like they play on like Jazz Fest, and I think I had seen the pictures or video of that where everywhere where Steven Tyler was going to be on stage, there was a teleprompter with the lyrics rolling. So he
And
would
listen,
never.
maybe he's not reading it like, looking down at the monitor and reading it word for word, but if he for a second forgets something, he can glance down and refresh his memory.
Yeah, or it's just subliminal. You're just kind of you're glancing over it, and you just playing a song like Aerosmith has, songs for 40, 50 years. Sometimes you're just going to completely zone out on what song you're singing or where you are in the song.
And not only that, man, when you're pushing 50, 60, 70 years old and you're out still performing, you're maybe not as sharp as you were in your 20s,
Yes. Steven Tyler
Nothing wrong
is
with that.
70.
You're still getting the
70
job
something.
done, it's just that's what you need to make it happen.
Right. And Daly mentions this, if you're even remotely might take requests remotely. I don't know what he meant. iPads are fine, and that's one of the things on Bourbon Street where I had worked with singers who would have iPads on stage for that purpose alone. Just
right, and Daly's right, because he comes up and someone comes up and says, "Hey, I want to hear XYZ song," and oh yeah, we know we can do it, but the singer doesn't know it. Right, they can pull up on the iPad, go on the internet real quick, pull up the lyrics. Because they might know the song, kind of, but they don't know the words.
Well, yeah, I've done that hundreds of times on Bourbon Street, where if somebody that plays chords in the band, like knows the key, knows the chord changes in the band, so meaning the keyboard player, guitar player, or bass player, generally, and you're familiar with the song, it's in your head, generally we could play it. But if the singer didn't know the lyrics, you can't sing it. So you call up the lyrics on the iPad, you sing it, you take requests, you make money. Absolutely. And Daly said that to your request, make money, and that's a reason for using that. But so those are the big ones: cargo shorts, music stands, iPads.
People are always going to pick stuff apart, Steve. Right?
Yeah, but another one too is backing tracks. That one comes up all the time, and people, the people who are against it say, the purists. You're not playing all this stuff. You're relying on, it's like doing karaoke. It's like whatever. And then the other people who know how to use it and why they're using it explain that it's not, because I played in a band, and I think Daly was in the band at the time. on Bourbon Street where we didn't have a keyboard player, but we wanted to play songs with keyboards, and we couldn't. We couldn't not play certain Journey songs on Bourbon Street. We couldn't not play Bon Jovi, and we needed those keyboards. So we used a backing track for the keyboards. And I actually did it. I had it on, at the time, I was doing it on an iPod. I had all the tracks on an iPod. We had a channel. We went through the PA. I had it sitting behind me on a stool on stage, or next to me on a stool. And I would, and the drummer had the earphones in and he had the click, and I would hit, just the next song. And I got really good at it. I got good at the timing of it, like segueing from one song to another, because not every song we would use backing tracks, but if one was coming up, I knew how to, like, where the song is ending and where the click is going to be, and kind of just seamlessly. It was actually fun for me. And Daly confirmed that. Yes, we did.
Yeah, when I played Night of the Storm, it was the same thing. We were getting ready to do an East Coast tour, and our keyboardist resigned from the band. He got a better opportunity to go on a different tour with a national act, and he said, "Guys, I'm leaving next week, and I'm out." So we said to him, "Okay, so you're going to record all your keyboard parts into the sequencer in real time. We're going to set up a click. We're going to play, the songs down. You're going to record your keyboard parts." And then we went out, and it was great. We set up the keyboard on a stand with a cardboard cutout of the band member, and then we just set that up on stage, and then we played all the tracks to a sequencer with a click track. And let me tell you something. There's no room for error, so you're on top of your game. And after 6, 7, 8 months of playing, back-to-back gigs, over the course of months, to the click track, to the sequencer, I can't tell you like how tight the band got, and even for myself, drumming wise, how great my time became, to where when I didn't play with a click, it was like I was playing with a click, because it was just, you became so accustomed to it that it was just there in the background. And when you're in good time, perfect time with the click, it goes away and you don't hear it anymore. So when you're playing, you can't hear the click 90% of the time, you're doing the right job. Which then segued to the subsequent cover band I played in, which was a result from that band, a couple of spin-off guys. We had an alter ego called Mr. Personality, and we did all covers that nobody was doing. At the time, we were doing 9 Inch Nails, White Zombie. We were doing all stuff that had heavy sequence tracks, a bunch of samples, out of the ordinary songs that no other cover bands were doing. And that's what we became known for. And same concept, like you said, we would go in and we would create the backing tracks in a sequencer. Like for a 9 Inch Nails song, we would lift the part off the actual album. Like we used to do a song by 9 Inch Nails called Reptile. And in the beginning, it's got it's almost like the beginning of Money. It's got like a repetitive loop, like it's like a camera sound and a typewriter. And we just lifted that, quantized it, put it into time, and then set up the track. And then, we went through and built the map for the track. And listen, it was definitely time intensive, and it took a lot of work to do it. But when we got on stage to play, man, what a difference it made. You can say what you want. It was definitely not karaoke. It was supplemental tracks that made the band sound authentic and better than it would have sounded without them.
Right. And most people in the audience don't know the difference. They're not even paying attention. They're just enjoying the music. And that's really only musicians out there that are that critical of it. But, those are the conversations that come up all the time. There's a couple others, but those are the ones I'm going to focus on for my comedy sketches. Yeah. Because I think there's a lot of good comedy material in there. So
you got a lot of material.
So look for that coming soon. I'll announce it here officially when I have it. But that was Quick Hour. Coverbandcentral.com. Go there, sign up for a profile for you, your band, or both. It's free, and it's growing all the time. There's more activity in there nowadays, and there's a ton of content. There's a ton of articles in there that you can check out. And we got the video of the week every week. Make sure you check on that. And you can go back and listen to the previous podcasts too. There's a link on the website for that. And that's it. Good hour, good wisdom from Tony this week. Thanks
everybody. Yeah.
Fire. With the wisdom whistle. Make sure you tune in again next week, every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And we'll see you next week.